I was just gonna say, hey.
I know. See,
now I gotta.
Now you can't.
It's already. This show is already over, guys. Just shut it off.
Yeah. Just bail right now. Now, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to 2020. My name's Cory. I'm here with Benny and Siobhán.
There he is.
There's who?
Hey.
There's us. Welcome back. Thanks for continuing to listen to this show. We're really happy that people are doing that.
Are they?
Yeah. If Benny hasn't alienated you yet, then I don't know what's wrong with you or what's wrong with us.
We really appreciate it.
Well, it's a lot of foreshadowing because somebody's gonna like off me on the radio at some point and be like, and put me down. I'm sure, and then everyone's gonna be clapping.
What are you?
They're
talking
like, you didn't
about?
realize you had to torture yourself through like 77 episodes before I was finally shut down.
Yeah, totally. So this week, we're super.
Did I tell you guys I'm tripping on mushrooms right now? Like I literally like
it sounds like you are
coming out of my
interrupting me.
No, but like my computer screen's coming out of my fucking face, and I feel like I need to go pack something really tight for UPS and ship it out. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm gonna do it.
The story just keeps developing with you today.
That's if any indication as to what to expect in this episode. We're welcoming back David Abbruzzese, our good friend. You're right. The former drummer of Pearl Jam during their best years, in our opinion, and
should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
If there's anything you take away
Yes.
from this, we are petitioning. We need your help because if there's anyone that has been wrongfully screwed, fucked, maybe let's say at least a digit, maybe 2 digits, like a 2020 full finger in the bum, as far as the recognition he deserves, the dignity, the respect. The fucking compassion, the understanding of the influence.
Point made.
David Abbruzzese should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Just so you know, if you're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, as far as a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame person that works there, get with it.
They're not listening to our podcast, dude.
Next time I need to energize you when you're feeling a little sluggish, I'll just say David Abbruzzese and I'll just get you all riled up. That's the best.
Well,
tactic.
I start also having like flashbacks of like tripping on mushrooms in Amsterdam because that's kind of like what we both started having on this episode. So if you watch me and David, our people start to get dilated about, as we're talking about the Red Hot Chili Peppers, of course.
Yeah, no, he's obviously got all these great stories about when he was touring with the biggest bands on the planet and stuff like that. It's a good episode. I definitely think you guys should check it out.
I would recommend tripping afterwards though, because you might not, or actually, you know what? In the defense of tripping, it might make more sense.
That's very true. So check it out.
Or just be sober and listen to it. You'll get just as much out of it, I'm sure.
That's a good point. Don't do drugs. Check it out. David Abbruzzese.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of 2020. Where up is down, left is right. And if you're playing Sega Genesis, you might know the code to Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't know it off the top of my head. It's still like Contra, but a little enough different because it's Sega Genesis. That said, not the Sega Master System. Sega Genesis classic.
You're getting close to your mic, Ben.
Cory Peza.
It's me.
Yeah,
Right over there. Right over there. Over there, we have Siobhán Cronin, who is mystical level transcendent philosopher, as David's about to get into. And then I am so proud and so happy that he really cares to come back and speak with us. I don't know why, but I'm honored. I'm genuinely honored. David Abbruzzese from Pearl Jam, from
Connecticut.
What was the motherfuckers you were in? Something motherfuckers?
Oh, the international motherfucker.
The international motherfuckers. You're not just a motherfucker, you are an international level motherfucker.
Yeah.
So what's going on, man, since we last talked to you? So I just want to preface this whole conversation by I thanked David for coming on our previous podcast. And then he wrote me something to the extent of, Siobhán asked me this question that made me, and David, I'm paraphrasing, ponder my life. And it was a really beautiful question. And I feel like I want to answer it, but none of us have a fucking clue of what you're talking about.
Oh, man, because I don't either now.
I was wondering.
I know what it was. You were speaking of like the part of it that motivated me and drove me into and pulled me into, and And as I started thinking about it, last time I reevaluated that kind of, question, I was asking it of myself. That was a long time ago. It was mushrooms, just.
Sure, yeah.
Dude, I got a story. Did you read my email about my mushroom tip?
Ben, let him finish what he's saying. We'll get to it.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm having a stoner.
Okay. It's worth interrupting. That was impressive. Turn around.
I'll sit in my own corner.
Basically, it got me to think of it, and it was nice to reevaluate it with all the experiences from the then to now. I actually understood so much more the depth of how, what inspired me and what pulled me this way. It was deep and it was good, and I got to think of my mom. It was a beautiful question that only somebody who really, I guess, gives a shit would come up with that string of words. And I just want to say thank you.
Oh, of course. No, that's what interests me. No, but I think you're right. It's like there's so many times where we don't realize that we haven't evaluated our lives in a long time. And sometimes it does just take someone asking you or like having an experience that makes you question something, because a lot of the time we get in the rhythm of life and life happens. Right. And then 20 years goes by and you're like, what, how did I start this?
Yeah, I was blessed enough to, like, great stories one day, maybe I'll write them all down, but I was in this point where I got to spend, a period of 10 years basically deciding how I was going to define things and setting, like, yeah, that's how I looked at it before, but not anymore. I'm going to do it this way. And then just actually, it was incredible. It's great thing. Wow. Revisiting all that stuff. Musically, awesome.
Oh, that's
Can
amazing.
I tell you how exciting it was for me to revisit Verses yesterday on my phone? Holy shit, I was not planning on having that experience. I emailed you about it. So for our viewers and our listeners, one of my good friends asked me the other day, should I do ayahuasca? And I said, can you handle shrooms and acid? He goes, oh, dude, bro, I don't know if my brain can handle that. I'm like, no.
Yeah, well done.
No, you do not want to do that. And I said, listen, I have no desire to shit next to people that I don't know and have shamans whispering in my ears, it's going to be okay. That said, there is definitely a medicinal value to ayahuasca. I am not discounting DMT or any of that sort of stuff. But as a lot of people have been learning, one of my friends works at McLean, which in Massachusetts, where they're studying the effects of psilocybin and ketamine, drugs I used. Yeah, psilocybin, whatever. Fuck it, I can't even speak it. And ketamine, both drugs I used to do for leisure back in the day, but they made me feel better. And now apparently these are supposed to be the strongest drugs in the world to reset people who have PTSD, people who have serious depression, and you can go to a lot of hospitals and they will actually take you on like guided journeys with small amounts of these medications or whatever. Yeah. So one of my friends at a party shows up with a shroom chocolate bar. It's got 3.5 grams, which is an eighth, which is what I would have normally taken in high school and given to any chick. Like, whatever. Here's an eighth. Take it. Eat it. You'll be fine.
You're saying 3.5 grams of mushrooms, actually not 3.5 grams of psilocybin.
Yeah, 3.5 grams of mushrooms, supposedly. Okay. Yes, not of psilocybin.
Jesus just Christ. A tiny little juicy component.
Yes. It's not like 3.5 grams of just THC. It's 3.5 grams of pot. Yes, I get it. So yes, 3.5 grams of what I would normally ingest any day of the week as a 17-year-old. I took, so they have it rated between 1 and 3 pieces is supposed to be microdose, where you basically don't feel it, but like it's supposed to help like reset things. 4 to 7 pieces is supposed to be like therapeutic, and then 8 to 12 is supposed to be shaman. And I'm like, dude, 3.5 grams will ever make me go shaman.
So you ate the whole bar then?
No, I ate 4 pieces because I wanted to microdose. I told my girlfriend, like, I don't want to get high. I just want to see if it like affects me, feels anything. I was tripping at the goddamn Fillmore, man. I literally walked to the park with my mask on and bread in my pocket with my headphones on, listening to Versus. So I'm like, I'm going to catch up on things. And I'm like, oh my God. First off, rear view mirror, I think changed my life yesterday. Just like it did 20 something years ago. It changed my life yesterday because I was thinking to myself, I'm like, oh my God, hindsight is 2020. I'm on a show called 2020. I'm talking to David about his hindsight, and the song's called Rear View Mirror, and its metaphorical meaning to me is sort of about what we've been talking about. At least to me, I don't know what Eddie Vedder meant. And I'm saying this, I'm thinking this as I'm feeding geese a little bit of wheat bread from the back of my pants, and I'm making them wait for it. And these geese came from like 30 feet away over a course, I think, of 45 minutes maybe, and realized that I was friendly enough to stand there patiently and not move.
Not blinking.
Yeah, not blinking, just enjoying the day, listening to rats.
I wish I could have observed this as like a third party, watching you awkwardly stand
I put Dirty Frank on there, which, by the way, I don't know what the fuck that song is. Do you play drums on that song? Yeah. That song literally made me go mental. I was like, I don't know who Frank is and why he's dirty and what the scat thing is and when you guys...
Truck driver, and we were convinced that he was making anus ankle soup out of our fans in the third bay of the bunk. And the way he talked was like, hey, you guys, it's not copacetic if you did the blah, blah, blah.
He said copacetic in the song. I remember thinking...
You can't, and don't per se ever enter the third bay, ever. Never. He was from Great Kill, Long Island. His name was Frank Zipprich. And he was awesome. He woke up, one night we woke up, we had to be in load in and all this, and we woke up and he was asleep. He's like laying in the thing asleep, and he's supposed to be driving, right? And so Eric wakes him up and he sits up and he goes, oh, black ice. I was waiting for it to melt. The end of the tour, we found really the third bay was full of booze bottles.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, gosh.
Last time we saw him, he was looking out the bus window as it was going backwards, drunk as shit on a hill in Seattle. And he looked at me and he goes, hey, Dave, you got a log?
Wow.
Trying to block the tires.
So wait a minute.
Scary.
So that's what it takes to inspire Eddie Vedder to write a song about you?
Actually, that was a one-take thing, that whole thing. The drums, I played it once. I don't know if those guys... Stone, I don't think fixed anything. I think there was some minor overdubs, and Eddie busted the words out. So,
dude, that's amazing to me. That song is fucking cool, especially knowing that, because it's just. And I will point out, the bass playing on it, the fretless bass on it is fucking banana land, and it gives and excuse me for comparing you, but it has a Red Hot Chili Peppers vibe to me. But
no, that's what it was to me. It was a tribute. It was the tribute because Stone started playing that guitar riff, and then we just kicked into it. And it was at the end of all that time that we had spent on our first tour, and the things were starting to grow. And it was with the Chili Peppers. We'd been with them for like maybe 3 to 6 months at that point. So
how was that?
Yeah. There was one time I laid under Chad's floor toms with a drumstick and played 3 songs. He played his kick drum part because his pedal broke.
No. Set this up.
Didn't even notice.
You're not glossing over this, Abbruzzese. What the fuck happened? You were Chad Smith's like left foot for a night.
Well, we were always like, every drummer and every tour I've ever been with, that Lollapalooza was unbelievable. We were a nice fraternity in a weird way, a bunch of weirdos, but we all watched each other and we jammed together. And like there was a night I slid under Bill Reiflin playing for Ministry, and we knew Al was tripping. So Bill went up and just stood shoulder to shoulder with Al, not touching him, just standing there staring at him while I was playing the drum part. And so when Al glanced over, it was just things like that. We had a lot of fun, but in the Chili Peppers thing, his pedal broke, and I happened to be there, and so
you knew the part.
I whack on floor toms for Give It Away. So I just laid under the floor tom and hit with my stick, and it was fun.
I gotta tip my hat. Wow. The most impressive part about that story is tripping on acid while performing, because I gotta tell you, back in the day, I thought I was invincible. And yesterday, 1.25 grams made me feel like I could be Timothy Leary. So I don't know if I could have. I thought feeding the birds was a chore. Okay. I actually ran over a stump mowing my lawn and actually dismembered my steel chassis to my lawnmower.
What
my
time
whole
was that?
What time was that?
7:00 at night. My whole neighborhood heard about it. And thankfully, I'd given all of them sparklers the night before. And I explained to them that I am incapable of man work, like changing oil or lawn stuff. So my neighbors all start laughing. And they all come over. I'm tripping face. My neighbor's like, I got this. Comes over with all these tools, starts complaining about the metric system, takes the chassis off because the chassis actually broke down the middle. I can send you pictures. It's just bent. So what he did is he took the wheel off, took the chassis part out that wasn't it, put the wheel back on, and then I continued mowing to the Beatles. You know what I mean? Like, but for a very short period of time, I thought that the world was fucking with me because I was like, all I'm trying to do is impress my girlfriend. That like I'm doing something, that I've done something with my fucking
you've done
day,
mushrooms.
right? No, but I did something. She came home and it's nice. And instead I can't even mow the fucking lawn without dismembering a $700 mower.
Well, maybe try mowing the lawn sober.
I'm not good at that either.
Benny, I think if you were doing that as a proper religious ceremony, the way mushrooms were intended and the land where I did them and how I first got turned on to them, you would emerge from the sweat lodge a warrior.
Oh, listen, man, I actually wrote that email as you got, and I basically said that I had no business being that fucked up as a 37-year-old man on a Sunday afternoon for literally no reason.
It sounded like you found the reasons, though.
Well, here's the thing is, and people don't realize, so where the good part about the hallucinogenic thing where you can get it from ayahuasca or you can get it from acid or from shrooms, in my mind, is that it makes you emotionally purge because the first thing it does for me is makes me feel guilty. I think about the girl that I didn't say the right thing to in 7th grade. And I'm like, does she have a Facebook? I should probably say I'm sorry, which is why you should never have an internet connection or a phone. Because like,
I can only imagine.
The first thing is guilt. And then I start going like, I listened to I'll Be Back by the Beatles, and I was convinced that this is what after my girlfriend, who's a nurse on the front lines of COVID-19, works a 12-hour shift, that the first thing I should do before she takes a shower or sits down or eats, that would be a paramount importance would be to play I'll Be Back by the Beatles, because that was written for me as an allegory, as a metaphor for her to understand why I will still be there regardless of whether she beats the shit out of me.
That's deep. Wow.
Yeah.
I can understand it though, because I've got the same kind of trip with that Doobie's China Grove song.
I love China Grove. What a good tune, man. That's one of those bands that as an older person, I used to be like the Doobie Brothers. Like, what kind of fucking losers listen to that shit? And then I went and saw the Doobie Brothers. I'm like, these guys are awesome.
They are awesome, but I really don't. I don't have the same attachment to that song. I just want to clear that up.
I mean, this is so interesting. I can't say I have much experience with hallucinogenics, but I mean, do you feel like there have been like in your what?
How about the Doobie Brothers?
Do I have experience with the Doobie Brothers?
Yeah.
Not much, no.
Okay. Sorry I interrupted.
No, that's fine.
She's our link, David. She's our link to the people that actually listen to music now. She's the one that
doesn't matter.
She's in a band that's current, that people listen to and care about.
No,
Cory and I never knew about it. You at least know about it. She is living that now.
I'm living what now?
Being in a band that people care about. Being relevant. Not knowing the Doobie Brothers and not
necessarily
caring.
Matter.
I bet you have more streams than the Doobie Brothers.
How many people you got to be relevant to?
Yeah, I mean, I don't care who I'm relevant to other than the people in my life, like my mom.
You three mean a lot to me. You're all, very relevant to me.
Oh,
yeah. That's a beautiful statement. It's true.
I want to say first off, thank you, but also you've eluded me. So all of our podcast people know that you're calling from a undisclosed location. We're not really sure where it is either, but I want to let you know that after our last podcast, that we all found the perfect gift for you. So at some point, you're going to have to explain to us like a meet-off point or a person that can like curry this over to you, because we have something that we all put a lot of love into that we want to say thank you for being a part of our lives, playing on our record, and for being so gracious to talk to us. Even, and again, you even told me this morning you weren't feeling well, and you're talking to us where I'd just be like, fuck these guys, I'm sleeping.
No, I did that for the last 15 years. It's a new Year's resolution. I'm actually going to, say yeah and want to.
Nice. That's great.
That's great.
Glad you're starting with us.
Yeah, right.
Music's a big part of it, actually. And it's just, if I'm not inspired with music, then the rest of the bullshit just doesn't really, it's just not entertaining, like the stuff that surrounds it. I guess the stuff that makes me relevant.
Okay, so I have to ask you, so the question that Siobhán asked you, clearly it caused a lot of introspection. And now for people that are guitar players like myself that don't know what that word means, he looked inside himself. And I want to know, what does that introspection look like, David? This is one of the things I was wondering whilst feeding the birds, listening to blood.
It's rich. It's very rich and dense and not underappreciated. And that was like affirming to me that through all of everything, the reasons and all of my motivations have been, I guess, proper, understandable, acceptable. But I don't have any regrets for any stuff because I can see it was just from that one simple examination of a period, early teens when things were really shifting, and it just like all the fucked up shit and great shit happened at the same time perfectly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because it was the same thing. So
do you believe in serendipity?
I don't think I really looked at I didn't believe in anything until, my first mushroom experience. And then
now that you've taken mushrooms,
huh?
Now that you've taken mushrooms,
no, I just thank the universe a lot.
So synchronicity more than serendipity, more like the police.
My decisions affect which way things happen next. And I don't think it's predetermined. I just get excited that, I make
but the alignment of those things, isn't that just the synchronicities amongst those things? Not that they're predetermined, but that the similarities that just happen.
Well, it's the way it is.
Do you think it's like a perspective thing? Things happen and how you look at them is what kind of defines them.
Well, yeah. I mean, if I wasn't here to perceive you, you wouldn't exist. So you're welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, Descartes.
Thank you. I appreciate
Please welcome Descartes, Cartesian thought.
Thank you for willing us into existence.
David is not the same candle as he was before he started burning.
It was my perception. That's all. Not. I didn't will you into existence.
You know what William Blake said, right? If the doors are
killed his wife, that guy.
No, 1720. If the doors of perception, if the doors of perception were cleansed, all things would appear to man as they truly are, infinite. Which is why Jim Morrison got really fucked up on acid and then started with the doors.
Oh, hippie dribble really ruined a lot of great minds.
It did. It did. In fact, what's funny is that I actually love the Doors, and they're a band that hasn't.
I'm saying that, but I got to say just so much fucking tattooed on my arm. So,
but didn't you do that as a sign of allegiance to the band right away? Like,
that dude standing on top of this thing.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I see the mushroom. You're a fun guy.
I feel far too sober for this episode.
Yeah, I know.
No, can we tell Cory? Can I tell the one story of you on the shrooms?
Watson's book.
That was a long time ago, Ben.
Can I tell you something that's really funny about Cory? Because Cory's kind of a straight-laced dude, but we tripped on shrooms one time because one of our friends said, "Hey, man, you know what you could do instead of eating that shit that tastes like shit that grows on shit? You can actually make it in tea." I'm like, "Really? You can make it in tea?" So my friend gave me like a fucking, I don't know, 4 ounces of these intensely strong shrooms, like psychotically strong shrooms. And I made like, I don't know, an ounce in tea for like 4 of us. And we were like, we're going to double dip this and like do it lit. We had like just finished drinking the first glass and we were already like Oh my God. And Cory.
That's actually not true. And not that I want to get too deep into this, but we finished the first glass and we're like, nothing happened. So we started we started the second glass.
Second glass. It was the second
it was
glass.
about 3 sips into that we were like, oh shit.
Yeah. This is only like 3, 4, 5 minutes into it. And they're like, oh, this is going to be a big deal. Yeah. So
yeah, these are the things you learn from, right?
So first off, Paul Lorenzo, who was with us, spent about 4 hours trying to figure out if it was safe to go outside, while Cory kept saying to me, I think I'm going to have to tell Domi, who's now his wife, that I'm insane forever. I don't know how I'm going to explain it to her, but I think that's what's going to have to happen.
Made sense at the time.
And then Paul's just like peering around the corner, like, can we go outside? Are they seeing us? And then our buddy Frank, who was our bass players at the time, was just walking around like, everything's fine. And like Paul's like looking at the window like, is it okay?
Goodness.
Cory's like, I'm surely insane. And I'm just like staring at the fucking ceiling, watching the wall.
I'm grateful that it
I Pink Floyd.
You know what we were able to witness right here is, see, I worked in rehab for a while, helping folks that were basically, normal, just whatever, just, the wrong people caught them doing stuff. So they had to go through this bullshit. And listen to these two guys talk. These are two guys I'm so glad made it through to this point in their lives without having to go through any of that bullshit.
Oh man, I say it every day to people, and I even said,
it would have fucked you guys up so bad. I'm so happy that you guys.
I've said to people too,
innocence with these experiences.
I don't even go to my if my friends OD or whatever, I won't even go to their funerals anymore. And I've said that to some of my friends who have been in bad situations. Like, I won't come to your funeral because I've gone to too many funerals for people like that. So I'm lucky enough where I was able to experiment and do some pretty crazy stuff and, live to tell the story. But like very easily things can go wrong. So basically the point is don't do drugs unless they're psychedelic drugs and you need to be around friends and make sure you take the proper amount.
Yeah.
And also there's another point, which is don't listen to people saying don't do drugs the day after they did a fucking great dose. You're underappreciating your evening. That's drug abuse, sir.
Oh man, you sound like my girlfriend. You're a drug abuser.
No. Oh, brother, don't misunderstand me. The drug abuse is that you're not still celebrating how fucked up you got. Has nothing. You're abusing the ability of that drug to fucking
Oh yeah, no.
Well, here, let me ask a question. So like I said, I don't have much experience with microdosing or dosing of any hallucinogenics, but can any of you maybe answer if there was one experience where you took it and your life totally changed, like irreversible? Okay.
Oh,
for the better?
Whoa. Yeah, I don't even know how I would tell it. So, but anyway, if it wasn't for mushrooms, I wouldn't have even had the gas money to get to the audition. Or no, I'm sorry, to get up with my kit for the gig. I already got the gig.
How did that happen?
I had to drive my kid up, and they only had a 24-foot truck, and all I needed was a 10-foot truck. So it was like $3,000 in gas. And it was like, sold my fucking 78 Ranchero to get some new splash cymbals and some sticks. And then took my girlfriend's car, my last $50, and drove 4.5 hours to the mushroom fields in August. There was a little blip of rain on the radar, and I thought, whatever. And I went and found, $6,000 worth of mushrooms. The wrong time of year, perfect, most incredible thing ever. Called a friend of mine, $600. It all worked out. But that's not how they changed my life. That's just another way they factored in. Because at that point, I wasn't taking them anymore. I was I'd go take photos and had a lot of respect. But my first experience was with a friend of mine, and it was I knew when it was over with, I was going to be different because that was the whole point. It was like in the way that I was approaching it, it was an experience that you were going to learn something of yourself that to survive the experience, you would become more of that. Your strength would come out. So if you, stayed in the experience and cried, and then that's the way you were treated for the rest of your life in that culture where this way of this use of psychotropics. So I drank like 2 gallons of pureed very fresh, incredible mushrooms after a day of, 14 hours going to pick them and all this stuff. And it was 3 days of the most incredible, surreal, whatever. I was somewhere else. I won't get too deep into that. But when I came out of it, I was completely different. Like the way I viewed, I saw certain things made sense that they were important, and other things were so easy to,
Well, David, tell me if this is correct. Because one of the things that, and Siobhán, obviously not having done this, but I feel like you're a mental virgin if you haven't taken like serious hallucinogenic drugs, whether it's shrooms or acid or mescaline or whatever. And then when you take them, it's just like you go, oh, and there's you realize that there's parts of your brain you haven't used. And I remember so this is what happened to me. I was watching the movie Payback in the movie theater. So that dates it to like the 90s. Mel Gibson. One of my friends just goes,
it's too big a deal. When you just said, don't forget that the cultures that used these things spiritually to open and saw them as a positive way of something that you could take into your life that's from your ancestors and from the earth and the energy of the universe, all these things, all those cultures were destroyed by the culture that was terrified of all that shit.
No, completely. And Timothy Leary set us back years.
They destroyed it. Those cultures are gone. I completely
agree with that. And I think that it's so important. And there's actually a resurgence again, especially with what we were just talking about.
My whole point is that white Protestant Europeans aren't, there's a reason that wasn't part of their ritual. There's a reason.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of repression and, trying to ignore elements of the brain and,
it was yourself. During MK Ultra until they decided they couldn't control people the way they wanted to. So in fact, I disagree, David. We actually gave people as the United States government
I'm not talking about LSD. I'm talking about shroomies. I'm talking about organic things that were around way before people wrote.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Sure.
Yeah. But all right, so to share my first experience, and David, you could tell me, hopefully you find amusement in this. It was a very religious experience for me, and it did open my eyes. But it started off very, not what I expected. I went to go see the movie Payback in Florida with one of my friends. I was with one of my other good friends, and my buddy just casually pulls out a 4-strip of acid, and just casually, and this is the way it always happens. Like no one tells you like what's about to happen. They just give it to you, like, put it under your tongue. Okay.
Now let me ask you this before you go on. How important would you say is your mindset or like your mental preparation before doing this? Because I feel like that's probably something that
I had no mental preparation, but
that's what's tripping me out.
Yeah, I had no mental preparation, but here's what was good. I was young, stupid, confident, and not really anxious all the time because I had nothing to worry about. So my temperament overall,
because that could be scary.
Disposed.
I imagine.
But yes, you should. Yes, it's imperative that you're in a good environment with good people, and because whatever you feel is amplified. So if you're happy, you can be way happier. If someone freaks you out, it's like the scariest thing ever. So anyway, I'm on my way back home to my buddy's house. Are we going to feel it? And my buddy, all of a sudden, he's looking at just a plain white wall, and he goes, "Do you guys see the patterns?" And my buddy just starts laughing at him and goes, "You're just tripping." And he's like, "No." And he's like looking right at the wall. "Do you guys see the patterns?" "You're just tripping." And I'm like, "I don't." And then I thought my friend's mouth started going up, like, they started like laughing. I'm like, "Why are you laughing at me, dude?" He's like, "I'm not laughing at you." And he's like, I'm like, "Why are you laughing at me?" And he's like, "I'm not laughing." And I'm like, "Dude, what?" And he's like, "Dude, you're just tripping." And the next thing I know, he had this Coca-Cola sign on the wall with Santa. And then Santa started coming out at me and said, "You must go party." I'm serious. We're on a 2nd-story window, all right? And we're in a 2nd-story room. And we figure the best way out of the house is through the window, down the tree. So we literally climb down in the total darkness, down this tree, and my buddy falls into my friend's pool, which is also a bad thing to do. Gets out, we're all fucking wet. Nobody notices. We're in a private gated community, so this is totally an Anglo-Saxon trip. It's not a religious journey that way. And one thing with acid is that you don't know where light is coming from. So we're in this gated community past the hours. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and everybody's front yard light looks like there's cars coming down the street. And I'm having all these auditory hallucinations. So we're like basically ducking behind bushes and like hiding behind mailboxes, thinking there are people after us. And it's just, there's nobody. There's nobody. And then all of a sudden we hear dun, 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 like an EDM beat. This is like 99, 98, like when it was techno. Dun, dun, dun. And we see this house and there's just like a strobe light coming out of it. And Adam, my buddy Adam, points up and goes, that's the party. All right. How did we get into that party? We climbed up the fucking tree and we went in through a 3rd-story window where there was just a bunch of people all fucking out of their minds. I had no idea they were rolling on ecstasy. They thought we were on ecstasy. So the first thing that happens is the room, they have strobe lights. It's all dark. There's a bunch of people. They go, we got to blow them up. We got to blow them up. Now I'm tripping face. Never tripped before. They grab me by my arms. They grab me by my legs. They put Vicks Vapor Rub over my face and they start swinging me back and forth, thinking this is helping me. And I'm like, oh my God! And that was the first time I ever tripped on acid.
What kind of cult was that? The Vicks Vapor Rub cult?
No, so listen. So
never heard of it. What the fuck kind of party is that? Rub Vicks Vapor Rub on someone's face and then
not for acid. They were on MDMA. They were rolling.
Excuse, no chemical excuse for that behavior.
Right.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Were you naked?
But no, but if you're on ecstasy, it's supposed to make you feel. I didn't come up with the term. This is just what happened to me. I am relaying the weirdness.
Like, maybe naked and slathered up in Vicks Vapor Rub or icy hot.
Basically, it ended up with me at home staring into the mirror, which is what you're not supposed to do because they say don't stare into a mirror. So the first thing you do is stare in the mirror. And then I basically became the Mona Lisa, and I thought I knew the meaning of life. And it was really incredible because I was like 16.
Wow.
Were you driving too?
No. Oh my God. I don't think I could have even reached the steering wheel.
I drove for 4 hours biting my steering wheel once.
And he's still here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, with the lights off all night. It was a full moon. It was beautiful. I could see everything. I think my pupils folded back in on my iris.
Oh my God!
Wow,
so huge.
And I was going to say, this makes me wonder if it's almost something that's better to do in seclusion, like rather than with other people.
Not seclusion, no,
with
seclusion.
No, it depends.
Yeah.
Depends. It's like most organics are a communal event by way of there's a care being given at some level by someone who's experienced and there's a guided feeling to it. But
sure.
The experience on itself is completely personal. It's not selfish, but it's
internal. Yeah.
There may be a time you go by yourself, but you should definitely, if you've never tripped before, be with someone who understands what's going on. And even if they're tripping
within earshot, at least.
Yeah, because the thing is, there's times where you could literally be going down the thing that's crazy about these type of drugs is that you could be going down a bad road and all of a sudden you might see spiders crawling all over you. And then Dave walks into the room and he goes, sunshine. And all of a sudden you're like, I love my life. And all of a sudden, like, there's sunshine everywhere because your people and your environment.
That's if the universe decides your trip's not supposed to suck. But if it is, you're going to end up in the closet all curled up naked saying, the Commodore made me do it.
Wow.
I will tell you, Siobhán.
Never happened to me, but
One of the times I tripped on mushrooms, I listened to Vladimir Horowitz play Hungarian Rhapsody. I think it was 25 times in a row. And my friends and I literally cleaned my entire rug on my floor, but by our hands. Like we just gone around and we're just listening to Hungarian Rhapsody and we're just cleaning, instead of vacuuming, cleaning the little particles in our rug. So there's 8 of us on the ground listening to Vladimir Horowitz 24 times.
Sounds
and it's
like a party.
14-minute piece.
Benny, bro, this is a personal question, but I assure you that your answer, if it's yes, it only makes you more badass. Do you have a chemical imbalance from when you were little?
Oh yeah, no, I'm totally fucking messed up.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool then. I mean, fuck. I'm sitting here. I'm ready to fucking get all personal with you when we're done fucking talking to you about all this shit. But no.
Well, so the truth is that, and people have said this, and this is not necessarily a good or a bad thing, is whether you love me or hate me, you'll never meet anyone like me because I'm a weird permutation. It was ironic because we were talking about the 2020 podcast. Jason Costa from the drummer from All That Remains said, as he, did the show, he was like, Benny, you're going to sell some music, but this is what's going to make you money. And he's like, everyone's going to know you. And it's like, thanks for telling me my riffs aren't original enough that you'll remember me forever. But then in some ways I take it as a compliment because yes, I'm fucking weird, David. Thanks for noticing. I've always been weird. And but I'm saying I appreciate that. And that's why I have such a symposium of friends and people are so forgiving of me.
The greatest thing ever is that I was just joking.
Have you met me? I take things very seriously.
Yeah, and I love that about you. And yes, I have. That's why that was a joke to me. I didn't mean to wind. I wound you up on purpose. I love it when your string gets.
You should. Pulled. It's better for everybody listening. They're like, listen how neurotic this fucking crazy tune is.
I don't find you. Yeah, you notice it shows in his music and his talent as well.
Yeah,
she's very wound up.
Corey's like, I got a lot of phone calls that I can exemplify exactly what you're talking about.
I can't wait till you're here in my space and I get to feed off that energy that you have. I mean, I wish Sean Smith were still alive because I think that and it was something that actually my engineering good friend said to me before I even considered it. He said, wow, Benny and Sean and you would have done amazing things together. Because
doesn't he still have music that needs to be finished though?
No, I have music that he and I were doing that needs to be finished. Yeah.
So doesn't that mean that there's still an opportunity for us all to work together?
Oh yeah. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, no, that's this year's goal. The music's incredible and it was great. And it's actually this is something, I hope you don't mind, but I'll talk about it for just a second. The process that we got into, he came over and we had a deep respect for each other, but we never were in a situation where we connected. We jammed together once. Sean Lennon had come out to visit. And so when Sean came in, it was kind of like the whole vibe got kind of weird. And then Stone showed up and the vibe got even more weird because we were in this huge band, but I didn't have his phone number, So... So when Sean and I started talking about, about maybe collaborating, he said, well, he had gotten in touch with me and said, I wanted you to, I liked what you did with Peter. I wanted to see what you think of this other stuff. And, we got to kind of butter each other's bread. And then I said, well, why don't you just come over?
For reference, Peter Cornell, Chris Cornell's brother, correct?
Yeah. Yeah,
because not everybody follows you as much as I do because I'm obsessed.
Yeah, that record was cool because Peter had finished it and he said, "Can you just do something?" And so I re-recorded the drums and it's just turned into totally just a different.
It's awesome sounding, dude.
Yeah, I love that record. And but when Sean came over, we sat down and he had such an opposite, polarized perspective of the same times and events. He was Stone's friend, so he was hearing what was going on when I wasn't, and so he had it was like it just blew my mind. It just and we both found out that we kind of.
So Sean Lennon was your mole.
Sean Smith. At this point,
Sean Smith. I'm like, you said Sean Lennon. Now you're getting me stoned on being stoned.
No, Sean Smith was playing keyboards when Sean came in and Stone came in and it was uncomfortable. So, so we never really got to talk, but we got to play a little bit. And so, I mean, he did shows with us. I don't even, he got booed off the stage at Drop in the Park. I don't even remember any of that stuff. But when he came over and we started talking, we hit it off so well. I felt we were just really connected, and I picked up my guitar and started playing, and he was, he was singing loose for phrasing and things such as that, but he was such a sincere, heartfelt guy that the words that he was using to form the vocal melodies it was basically him processing the conversations, the intense conversations that we were just sharing. And so they ended up becoming just as they were with just a few changes here and there. The meaning and the message it's so poetic and it's meaningful to both of us in such a profound way. And so we decided, let's do this thing together. It was, a process that was incredible, and a relationship that was forming, and that forming. He was a brother for sure, and we were talking, sent a few songs, and he was supposed to come back over, and then I didn't hear from him, and then I found out, he passed away. So,
oh my God.
But man, it was incredible. The songs he sent, I didn't open them for the longest time. I ran across them, and each one of them was, again, he was just same way he always did. The words were just coming out, but they, yeah, you will hear them, and they were just not as though he knew he was gonna, but what he was saying made me feel better about the fact that he was gone than I did before. Like what was coming out of him, it's better. Yeah, if you got to go, he went at his right time.
Right.
But damn it, he left me with a lot of music but a lot of inspiration and a lot of it's like there's songs that I'm going to sing. I'm not a singer, but I have to do them. Because I know. I don't think I ever hear anyone else sing it right.
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
But he's a freak, very talented freak. And very talented freak. Sean Smith, rest in peace.
I gotta say, I admire your sincerity, David, with everything music, because everything you talk about, obviously there's a business, and then there's like the esoteric, ethereal, language of music. And you seem, it's not that you haven't been through the business, but you are just so polar, organic. Organic, true blue. I do this because I feel it. I do it because I'm into it. I vibe with it. And your motivations are always emotional as far as music. And it's really refreshing in so many ways, because, there's so many people that have to conform to trends and do so much stuff now. And you are so aloof and autonomous from all of that to hear you speak even just about your friend. Like, I don't know what the music sounds like, but just hearing you talk about it and the way that you're so moved talking about it, now I have to hear it. And now I even feel an obligation to help in whatever way I can, just because of your conviction, your energy. Just like you say, I'm crazy. Your energy, as far as your passion transfers and your playing and the way that you convey your music and why you play music. And that is so inspiring to me. And hopefully for everyone that's listening and watching the show.
Well, thank you. And it was a blessing. I thought it was a curse for the longest time. It was, in a way it was a curse, but it at the time it was just a challenge that I tried, but I could never really understand this business thing. It went from getting in the van, us busting ass, things going okay, selling millions of records, all this shit, blah, 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 and that quick. And we were so busy. Our schedule was so busy. The only thing that mattered was playing, being able to perform every night. And I'm proud to say that I know every time I ever fucked up. Every live show, I remember every mistake, and there's 4 of them. That was it. And I'm talking about missing the snare.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or going to grab a cymbal and knuckling it. But other than that, I paid attention to the music. I tried to understand the rest, but luckily there were all these people getting paid a ton of money to take care of all of it.
Yeah.
I didn't see bills, and then I was a millionaire, when I didn't see bills when I was broke or filed taxes, and when I was a millionaire, I didn't see bills or file taxes either.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Just played drums. And
yeah, that's amazing.
I think that was part of the thing too. It was so not my bad. The first time I talked into a microphone was accepting the 1993 Band of the Year and Album of the Year AMAs.
Wow.
By myself, uncoached by my so-called integral manager, by the way. Just left me hanging. It was horrible, but fantastic. Awesome.
Were you tripping?
No, I was stoned out of my mind.
Were you picturing them all naked, or did you think that you were naked?
Oh my God. No, I was picturing walking up there And I made Epic. I said, I'll do it if, you'll buy me some clothes. So I was wearing shit. I had a $3,000 vest. And, and don't forget, like, when I was at the Max Fields trying on these incredible clothes, I showed up wearing fucking Birkenstocks, some cut off long johns, and whatever the fuck I was wearing that day, And so I was just expecting to go up there with Jeff and Stone, and if I had to say anything, I'd say, "Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Ament," and he'd stutter because he gets nervous. He stutters. But yeah, neither one of those guys showed up right after my tour manager. That's why I made him go up there with me, because he made me smoke that joint. I was sitting there just miserable.
Oh my God.
And then when I went up and looked down, and Diana Ross,
I feel like we need to get some B-roll of this on YouTube and go back and watch
YouTube.
this.
No, it's on YouTube.
We have to see this.
We have to watch this.
There's one spot where I go all the way across, and my drummer friend in Fire Hose, Eddie, said it was the most embarrassing moment of his life.
No, God.
I mean, I hugged the guy, and I remember saying in his ear, "This is the most fucked up shit ever." and I turned around and I said, "Okay, maybe I can now. I'm not so nervous. I can say all the things that I was too nervous to say before." And right as I said that, I looked down, and there's Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, Aretha Franklin.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Gladys Knight, all sitting within 7 feet of where I was standing.
No pressure.
Yeah.
And I looked, and Diana Ross went like this. Just raised her eyebrow. She looked at me, and she just went, "Mm-hmm. Go ahead." And I went, that's what I did. I went, well, blah, blah, blah. Thank you, bye. But it was, Eddie,
you had an opportunity to yell San Dimas High School football rules, and you didn't, David.
Dude, like I said, it was the first time I'd ever spoken to a microphone.
I'm crazy. Fucking with you.
The second time was at the Modern Drummer Festival, playing in front of all my heroes and 2,500 people. I'm supposed to talk into a microphone. So I put a dress on and just drank some scotch.
You put a dress on? Did you and Scott Weiland show up in dresses?
No, it was a kilt from the drummers of the Black Bottle Scottish liquor. Yeah, they gave me a couple of shots and a kilt to break the neck.
That's all he needs.
Sounds like Scottish people.
No, that's our new shirt. 2020. A couple shots and a kilt.
It was amazing. I went out and they surprised me and gave me a Modern Drummer Award for up and coming drummer. It was like, oh wow! And this is on This is a story that'll melt your heart. This is on I told my folks when I was a little kid, I wrote them a note and said I wanted to try to do this thing, yeah. And I couldn't do it unless that's what I did. And I wanted to quit school, and I wanted to do it, blah, blah, blah. And they supported it and allowed it to happen. The universe did somehow. And the whole trip was that I'd reevaluate my life when I was like 25, and, this is a 12-year-old writing. And I said, and then if it doesn't work out, then I can go back to school or whatever. So on my 25th birthday, I was headlining the Modern Drummer Festival with Louis Bellson, Terry Bozzio. I mean, my heroes. Ginger Baker played after me. It's unbelievable. And I'd never done a drum clinic. I'd never even talked into a microphone. But
other than at the AMAs.
So, no, this was before
prior to it. Yeah.
Oh, this was before. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And so, it was intense. And I decided no plan. I'll just wing it. And I was the only one who got a standing O. But it was on my 25th birthday, that day that I was going to reevaluate whether.
What did you do that you beat out Mr. Titties and Beer, Terry Bozzio, and Mr. Ginger Baker?
No, I didn't beat him out. He was the day before. But it was, it's a Modern Drummer Festival. It's
but what made drummers stand up?
I think it was because I explained how when Terry Bozzio was speaking, I was sitting and I could hear all that amazing. I just heard everything he said go over my head at the speed of sound, hit the back wall, and then turn into this weird sticky ooze that was somewhat comforting, but still sticky, that went down under everyone's feet. And that's how I started my thing. I said, look, I could appreciate that, but it was bong hits and Bonham. That's what I did.
Yeah.
And the whole place, I saw everybody in their shoulders. You'd never see anything like 25. I've seen, 65, 200,000 people clapping their hands in my kick drum, but I've never seen 3,000 people go, ah.
That's amazing. I think that's a testament to your authenticity. And I think like that's something that when I think about it does carry you through and feel satisfied at the other end of your career, I'm sure. And I don't know, because I probably still have time to go. But I think if you maintain those, that honesty with yourself and with people, that's the human experience, is hearing someone tell you what they feel and being able to relate to it, whether it's music or speaking, for sure.
Well, that's like Stephen Hawking going up and explaining this crazy advanced thing about science and everyone being like, cool. And then like David coming up and going like, I studied space because I love the moon. And then everyone be like, me too, motherfucker. I smoke bong rips. I love Zeppelin. I listened to Caris Alhambra just as long in my time of dying. I listened to all of those songs. Moby Dick solo. Word for word, note for note. There's no words because it's a drum solo, but that's besides the point. Everyone, it was a breath of fresh air because I've seen Terry Bozzio.
It was the headphones and bong hits. It was like that, even if it wasn't bong hits and but it was that the thing was, it was the drumming, it was the music, it was the whatever it is about drumming that is so important. It was that. And that's what inspired me. It motivated me. It's like, I remember thinking if I could play that I respect, then someone will respect me. I didn't understand the proper nuance of reality of what music and art really meant. But, I can spring that on you. Natasha Snyder. Amazing. She said to me one day, you must learn the piano. And I thought, okay. And she said, no, you must, and blah, 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 blah. Next time you were here, we're Alan in her house in LA. Next time you're here, we'll talk. I'll talk to you about something. Okay. So next time I was in LA, we're at the house watching Mr. Show and laughing and stuff. And she says, David, come with me to the music room. And I was just like, yes. And I said, all right. I said, all right, you're going to teach. And I was going to say, you're going to teach me. And she spun around before the word teach even formed with her finger in my face. And she said, I will never teach you anything. All the teacher can do is teach you how to be them. And you could never be me. And then she said,
I like that. That.
This is the kicker. She said, I will give you the fundamental knowledge and the gift of this understanding of this instrument and music. And then if you choose to play it with your dick, that is music. Basically said, I'll give you the understanding of this instrument, the piano, and how these notes work and all these, I'll give you this. And then when you have that, if you choose to play it with your dick, that's music.
So when's that solo record coming out?
And it was this thing. It was the inspiration of understanding that all of a sudden it was understanding and the motivation and the dedication. And that's.
But you're right. There is a distinction between the mechanics of playing an instrument in terms of the physics of creating sound and expression. So right. You're right. Yeah. You can't be taught a voice, but you can be taught how to find your own. Yeah,
and that's what her whole point was. If you're motivated to study a certain type of application of this knowledge, a certain type of music, a certain type of this or a certain instrument, then that's what will make you, that's your path, and that becomes your path with music and that knowledge. But her whole point was, once you have it, if you're disciplined, or even if it's just your heart that makes it okay to just hit it with your fist and say, yes, that's exactly what, then that's music. And I got that. And it changed every relationship I had with every instrument. And
That's huge.
It inspired me to go, if I heard a horn line, to go buy the fucking horn and sit and say, okay, how's this horn work? Read it. Okay, I know if I don't press any buttons, here's the thing to tune it. I know I got to get this note with my armature before I can even, and then even though it was only 3 notes, I would record those fucking 3 notes. And it changed everything. It made me feel like, okay, I got rid of that part that made me feel inferior somehow to other people's skill set. Because even though I love certain instruments, I've never dedicated my life to mastering them, but I can understand them. And with that understanding, I can truly accept that what I'm doing, although limited to my dedication and, my abilities, but not my knowledge, I can still call it music. Yeah. Without feeling like, I'm not a musician.
Yeah. Well, I don't think anyone can say that about you, man. No. You are about as much of a musician as anyone can possibly be.
Play bass clarinet.
That's bringing us to the end of this hour, though.
Brought to you by our sponsors, Lost Symphony. And by the way, David plays on chapter 2, which is on a song called "The Garden of Earthly Delights." And we're going to talk a whole lot more to David because, he's been kind enough, even though he's not feeling well. It's a crazy hour wherever the fuck he is. And, I just want to say, first off, thank you because, it's such a pleasure because I was listening to these songs yesterday to Versus, and this is how I'm going to close it from me. And it was like an old friend because just like Cory said, when you're younger, modern rock radio destroyed Dissident, Daughter, Rear View Mirror, like a lot of songs because you guys got played fucking nonstop. And then I listened to you guys bootlegs, all kinds of stuff, and to be able to talk to myself
at
the end of 2020 and tell David how much I absolutely love the fact that now I get to talk to him. It would be only perfect to end 2020 in a way such as
where
this.
he just 2020'd us.
Yeah. And that's how I decided that you were my hero, David. Oh, he's back.
Oh my God.
I'm like literally confessing my undying love to you, and then you're gone. And he's gone again.
That was great. All right.
That's all right.
Well,
so
we'll pick him up on the next episode there.
All right.
Yeah, no, I do want to say thank you to David. And you know what? Oh, look, he's back again. David, thank you so much. What I was basically saying is that it was really nice yesterday to be able to go back and listen to a record I haven't listened to from start to finish in probably 20 plus years. I mean, it used to be one side of a tape, much like Cheap Trick. And I got to tell you, man, it was really fun. And it was really nice to be able to think, one, I'm friends with that guy because first off, when you're friends with somebody, it just makes it so much better when they're your friends. And when you're saying something so sincere and from the bottom of your heart, and then you're like, hello,
fucks you over.
Yeah,
hello.
I don't think he takes
will you marry me?
Well.
And then the moment is lost.
Yeah.
And then the moment's lost. So bottom line is, David, I love you. And we're going to do another show. And with that said, you've been 2020. I don't care about his little fucking thing. We're going to talk to him again.
BRB.
He's from Pearl Jam. He's awesome. I don't know about you. I'm going to go take some fucking shrooms.